So, as many of you working folk may know, during the long shifts, your mind tends to wander. And mine, more often than not, goes into the past. And today, I recalled just how crazy I was with women as a teenager. I mean, back in those days, I was like a trained sniper. I'd see one, target in, and I wouldn't let her leave my sights. And you know what? I don't do that anymore. That's a bad idea. It's a little bit creepy. Yeah, that's what stalkers do. You know, it's cute when you're a kid or a teenager, but past 20, you gotta stop or you're gonna go to jail. I mean, I don't know that personally, but one can safely assume. So yeah, I was sitting there at work, 3-hole punching thousands and thousands of sheets of paper, and then I suddenly just laughed to myself. I'm sure it looked weird to everyone else, but I remembered one particular girl. It'd be kind of rude to say her name, so I'm not going to. However, this was my crush for most of high school. I tried my best to get this girl. I did everything. I wrote poems, I wrote songs, you know, everything a nerdy teenager will try to do to get a hot girl. But, unlike most hot girls, this one was a little bit weird. And she was really obsessed with this one movie. I think it was Quill or Quills. And this movie had something to do with writing letters in blood to loved ones. I don't know, it's romantic because you'd cause pain, bleed for them. And I'm thinking, man, what if I did this? Of course, I wasn't going to cut myself, that's crazy. So what I did, having tons and tons of pimples on my face, chest, and back, was slowly pop a pimple a day, let it bleed out, then write another letter on the poem. And, you know, it seemed perfectly rational at the time. Why not, right? If blood is blood. I was actually really hoping for a nosebleed because I knew I'd get a ton from that. So after about a month of work on this thing, I hand her this disgusting little note. It's on a brown construction paper and it's got a poem written out in dried, smeared blood. It's not anything like what she saw in the movie, I'm sure. And she smiles. That's nice. She was really pretty, by the way. Gorgeous. She was perfect. But you know what isn't perfect? This game. Radical Psycho Machine Racing. Released in God knows what year for Super Nintendo, Radical Psycho Machine Racing is an overhead racer, much like RC Pro-Am. But unlike that game, this one's terrible and virtually unplayable. Yeah. Before you even start, the game shows you the upgrades screen, where you can purchase different parts for your vehicle, including weapons if need be. And this shows me that the game actually does have some degree of depth. And this is where the game started to lose me. At first you got a choice between 2 tracks. The first one is kind of this twisty-turny mess of a track that I can't beat, and the second one is a basic circle or square, I'm not really sure what you'd call it, and that's as simple as making 4 right turns 5 times over. The first track is free, but the second one will cost you $2 in entrance fees. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but think about this. If you run out of money, that means you have to make it back by racing in the first track. I can't beat the first track. Maybe I just really suck, maybe I'm not willing to put in the time to get better. But this track is impossible, and leagues harder than the second. This seems like it should be the last track in the game. But anyway, after you get enough money, you can continue to round 2, and then both tracks are hard. Yeah. So really what we have here is an incredibly steep difficulty level. It starts high, drops to nothing, then goes right back up to impossible. Yeah, that makes me want to get better. And the thing I really don't like about the actual races is that everything looks the same. It's green, gray, brown. Ugh. And the music just drones on. Just listen. Doesn't make you want to play, does it? Makes me want to sleep. Look at the perspective. Is something wrong with this? I actually can't tell. All I know is all the turns are kind of jagged and boxy. Couldn't they make them round? And look at the slopes. They're so I don't know, it doesn't seem like the truck's riding up properly. Actually, since I'm on the topic of the slopes, oh, how I loathe these things. If you don't hit it at the right speed, you just slide back down, and that is an instant loss. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Practically any mistake is an instant loss, especially in the harder tracks where there's no straightaways to catch up. And I'm sure this gets easier once you buy upgrades, but in order to buy these upgrades, you need to race on the easy track over and over again. I know that wouldn't be so bad, except each race takes 5 minutes to do. It's like grinding in an RPG, except I know I'm never going to be good enough to race in the better tracks anyway, so what's the point? Heck, you could just race this stupid circle track over and over again, and make all the money to beat the game. Yeah. And if that's not good game design, I don't know what is. Radical psycho machine racing. You'd have to be a psycho to play this game. And I hate these mine things the other racers leave behind. You try to dodge them, but you can't really see them until it's too late. So boom, instant loss. I tried dropping mines myself to try and throw off the other racers. I put a whole line of them right by the finish. They drove right over them. Well, okay, I don't have proof of that, but they must have. How else can you explain all of these mines still being there, despite the fact that 3 other cars, all clustered together no doubt, drove past them? Statistically speaking, there is no way in hell one of those racers didn't hit my mines. And, maybe I sound like a sore loser right now. Well, yeah, that's all there is to it. I am sounding like a sore loser. But so what? And on the cover of this thing, you see a pickup truck driving over some kind of Lamborghini type thing with explosions going off. And that looks pretty cool. But once you play the game, you actually realize it isn't. It's not cool at all. Because these cars are constantly bumping you around. And if you bump into the wall enough times, boom, you're gone. Again, you respawn, but that doesn't matter. I'm actually sick of seeing explosions. They're not even that cool, maybe that's why. If your car blew up in like a big blast of Mode 7 particle effect glory, I'd be all over it. But yeah, not here. This is one of those games where while I was playing it, I found myself staring at other things. Like, I'm playing the game, but I'm actually staring at the stucco on the ceiling. I'd rather stare at the remote from my TV than play Radical Psycho Machine Racing. Just look at all the buttons. I'd rather stare at my foot than play Radical Psycho Machine Racing. I'd rather stare at the super detailed recreation of the Arbiter from Halo 3 than play Radical Psycho Machine Racing. Actually, I'd rather stare at this than most women. Oh, sorry. That's more entertaining than Radical Psycho Machine Racing. I'd actually recommend if you get the chance to play RC Pro-Am. I'm no good at that one either. I didn't get very far. But that one is much better. I guess because it both looks and plays smoother. And it was on the NES. That's saying a lot. Screw writing a poem in blood. If you really love someone, well, I'll tell you what to do. Beat Radical Psycho Machine Racing and tell them you did it for them. No, stop! Don't do it. I was just joking. Like, someone paid $20 for this once. What's that, 20 cents? I don't know.